times we speak with villages and they tell me, Manuel, we need to find a way to clone you because we need to get more stuff done. And today I want to introduce you to the thing that is closest to a clone that I have. So my son is with me today because he's sick. He cannot go to school. He had a fever. So I told him he would come on camera and say, hi, hey, clone, how are you?
Hello.
So we would have to wait 10 years till he would be able to help.
He will not say anything. He's impressed.
Yeah.
But he told me he wants to code stuff. He's more into coding games though for now, but I'll talk to him. Okay, good. You can go. You want to say hi? You can say hi. Okay, it's gone.
I bet.
Yeah. So
that's good. You embarrassed him, Manuel.
I like doing that.
I know. I'm sure you do.
Yeah. I don't care. And he's telling me, he likes watching this stuff on YouTube, and I want to be a YouTuber. He's like, oh, you want to be a YouTuber? You're going to come with me today. Okay, all of that is good and fun. Thank you for taking the joke. And with that, we are about to start the webinar. Let me make sure that I get my slides ready. Here it is. And then I'm going to start sharing my screen. This is it. Share. And I'm going to move this window. Let me try that again, because sometimes I have people telling me that the participants window gets in the middle of the slides, which is true. I don't know exactly why, but oh, here. I don't know if this changes anything. Let me see. God, no, it didn't work. Wait a minute. What's happening? I'm going to go with the normal. I'm going to call my son. He can help me with Zoom.
Yeah.
God, give me a second. I had my window ready, but now it's gone. What did I do?
I don't see Anastasia this morning.
I'm here. Good morning.
Oh, there you are. Oh, I see Anna. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's put my whole name.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she's pretending to be an American today.
Are you in Spain, Anna? Is that what?
I'm in San Diego.
Oh. So you are in America.
Yes, I'm ready.
I don't know what I did with my windows. Went to go fancy with my moving windows and I messed it up. Oh, I found it. Okay, now. Okay, sorry. I know it took a few minutes just to figure out my windows, and then here we can go with this. Now we can go for real. So welcome everybody to this Helpful Village webinar for November 20th. This is the agenda of our meeting. We have a discussion about news and projects we're working on. There is a technical question and some tickets that came in about the Yahoo emails bouncing. So we're going to be talking about that too. And then there is also a quick discussion about new features and Q&A or something. So let's get straight into it with a few reminders. And these are the usual reminders, which is the fact that we have upcoming meetings. The next meeting we have is November 27th, which is the Q&A webinar that we do with V2V. So that is next week. So it's next Tuesday at the usual time. So you can send your questions as usual. And then there are the webinars for December there too. We put a weird order on there, but and then basically for December, we need to be careful because basically, obviously there is Christmas. So we moved all the webinars ahead 1 week. So instead of, we usually do our webinars or release webinars on the 3rd Wednesday, but in December, we're doing on the 2nd Wednesday. That's going to be December 11th. And then same thing for the other Q&A webinar. Instead of doing on the 4th Wednesday, going to do on the 3rd Wednesday. That's going to be December 18th. So just be careful if you have, your dates in your schedules, you need to adjust those. And then the other things are just usual reminders about the Helpful Village Training Docs Guide, the Helpful Helpful Village Help Center, and Slack, which is the collaborative discussion website that we have. If you're not aware of any of those three resources, you need to talk to our team and Anastasia, because those are really helpful resources when you're using Helpful Village. As for the webinar next week, we do Q&A, so we take your question. Today, we're speaking ourselves. Next week, it's you're speaking, we're answering your questions. You can send your questions ahead of time. That gives us more time to think about them. So you can send your emails to Gary, who's our national coordinator, and he can be reached at hvusers@v2vnetwork.org. Gary does a wonderful work coordinating with us and also prioritizing the questions and putting them together and organizing. So thank you, Gary, always for helping us with the Q&A sessions. This is the Help Center, which is the resource I mentioned before. This is where all our training docs live. You can reach that website by going to support.helpfulvillage.com, and then basically you can type any question you have, and then there's an interactive website, and then also you can navigate the documentation through the different categories and subcategories. Also at the top right, there is a possibility to submit a request when you have a ticket, and that's how you submit a ticket. And actually, when you're submitting a ticket that way, you can possibly find the answer before you hit the send button. So that's the best way to do it. And then we have two different things. One thing is for bugs and problems. So that goes to the to the support.helpfulvillage.com. If you have improvement ideas, then they go to a different website. It's ask.helpfulvillage.com. So obviously, we always take care of bugs first. Okay, we're approaching the end of the year, and then basically, Anastasia is really helping me with this, because we have the monthly payments, and then at the end of the year, we always spend a lot of time with basically outstanding invoices or checks that got lost in the mail, etc. And so we're wasting time at this time, and she is helping some of our customers set up automatic payments, and that basically saves you time, saves us time also, because we don't need to go back and look at these paper checks. If you're interested in these automatic payments, Anastasia is going to tell you how that works. So let me move to the next slide.
Yes, so actually it's quite easy to go through this process, and I would be happy to help you in every step. And to complete your automated payment setup, you can request through the support@helpfulvillage.com email the automated payment, or you can send us the tickets through our website. And after you receive the link from us, you can go to your Stripe account, and then choosing ACH type of payment, you would verify your bank account, and you would receive 2 payments with some cents. And these payments you would have to put following the same link, pressing the same link. You'd have to insert it into the deposit amount 1 and deposit amount 2. And like this, you would verify your bank account, and your automated payment would be set up. Just one more detail. You would have to wait 1 or 2 business days because sometimes these 2 little payments, they arrived with a small delay of 1 or 2 business days. And after you check up your account, so you can get these numbers from there and just put it into the Stripe account. Sometimes Stripe asks you to add more information about your business and your personal contact as administrator. So you would just follow the instructions from Stripe, and it's very, very easy. And also you can ask me for the Zoom meeting, and we can go through this process together. So just send me an email to my email, anastasia@helpfulvillage.com, or to support@helpfulvillage.com, and I would be happy to help you.
Great. Thank you, Anastasia, for that. So this is something that you would need to do if you want to set up automatic payments for your Helpful Village invoices. So this has nothing to do with the way your members pay you, but it's basically how you pay Helpful Village your monthly. It's just it's easier for you if it saves times on our end. Also, we can serve you better. And with all those reminders being done, we're going to move to the news, and we have a big chunk of news that we need to discuss about today. I'm going to start with something that is maybe in the news, but it can be also in the kind of some sort of a new products, new release, new developments. It's not out there yet, but we have an announcement to do. Oh God, I got this messed up. It's not true. So basically before that, it's like, these are some things that we were working on this month, sorry. It's like we added a few new training articles. So if you're interested in any of these topics, this new, Anastasia created these 2 new articles about how to add affiliates to organizations. So that means physical people that belong to organizations, if you want to have your people organized. And then the other training doc that was created is a little bit more detail about how the text messaging premium feature works. So you have the links in here, and you can also just go to the Help Center and search with the title of these training docs, and you will find the information there. So this is new training docs Anastasia created. This is also other news. It's about 2 villages that have joined the Helpful Village family. One is Meadow at Home in Twisp, Washington. So they are currently migrating their data, so they have not launched yet, but it's a new village that is coming from Club Express. And the other village is also in Washington State. It's Olympia Area Village. They were with us in development stage, but they have upgraded to established village. So it's an exciting time when they're approaching launch time and recruiting new members. So welcome to these 2 new villages. This is what I was announcing before. We have a new feature or a new product is that we want to allow our customers to have more stylish websites. And let's get into it. Until now, Helpful Village has mostly been focused on providing villages with a multitude of modules that you can see on this slide. This is not a new slide. It's like when you're running a village, you need multiple modules and features to run it efficiently. You have an editable website, you have a menu manager, you have an events module, you have a service request module, you have a check-ins module, you have a background checks, you have emergency plans, you have all of these features that are included in a Helpful Village. Our assumption this far was that, well, you probably needed just a simple website where you're basically displaying or advertising your village and putting information and pictures there. But we were thinking that village members or the village audience essentially appreciated a simple website with simple design that was accessible and readable, but not necessarily very stylish. And that's what we were offering with our current editable website. But we have been listening to our customers and that have come to us, not all of our customers, but some of our customers saying that they would appreciate having the possibility to have a more stylish, prettier website. And so we're working on something that we wanted to share with you. We're not launching it yet, but we just wanted to let you know that we're working on it. So we have a new product that is coming. It's a more stylish website development. We're excited to announce that we're working on for a custom website development. So basically the main thing, you can read this slide yourselves, but basically the most thing is just allowing to have more visually appealing designs. The Helpful Village current website editor has some limitations in terms of, well, you need to stay in the margins of the page, and then there are some graphic elements that did not exist. We have some templates that you could use. The editor is easy to use if you're modifying some text or replacing an image, but if you want to move stuff around, it was not as easy. So basically now we are moving in a direction where basically the marketing website, not just the information that you publish to your audience can be managed with this new product. And this is coming, so you don't need to act on any of this, just, but you can start discussing with your people or your board saying that there are new possibilities for more stylish websites, and this is something that we'll be working on. I want to show you a few examples. These are actually some websites that we did not do, but these are actually websites from some of our customers that had come to us, approached us that wanted more stylish websites, right? And at the time we said, well, we prefer to focus on functionality and taxonomy and other more functional things, and we cannot spend time on design. And this is changing now because basically the whole announcement we're making today is that we want to help these customers and any other customers to go in this direction, where we will be allowing websites like this that are more kind of stylistically advanced or that allow for more design or graphic components, etc. So this is essentially what we're working on. Will look a little bit like this. Now, there's a few comments that we're making on this. Main advantage of what we're working on is that offering you more styling options, graphic design flexibility for your marketing website. And I say marketing website because there is something that is important. You need to understand that Helpful Village is essentially an online platform that contains the members' data. That's a high security system. And what we're doing is actually building kind of a facade to that website. So we're going to keep Helpful Village with all the functionality in some sort of a members area, right? What happens when you log in, and then offer the possibility to have kind of a front end, which is kind of a facade, which is a marketing website that does not contain the data, but basically allows for more design flexibility, styles and colors and other things like that. We are, even if these are two different databases, right? So the high security database that stays on Helpful Village, and this other kind of front-end website, which is text and pictures, doesn't need as much security, but still, we're going to be hosting it, and we're going to try to make that marketing website as secure as it can be. So we will be hosting that service and also working on making security enhancements for that marketing website too. We are also offering the possibility to have a better integration with Helpful Village so that this new product that is a stylish marketing website that we host, so that it has a secure integration or connection with the Helpful Village main database where the secure information is. So there are some reasons. We will give more details when we're launching the product. For now, just wanted to let you know that we're working on this. Also, I wanted to let you know that this is an optional new product. So if you're happy with your current website, it serves your purpose, it helps you distribute the information, or you just simply like it the way it is, you don't need to worry about this. You can stay the same way you are today. That doesn't change. It's an optional new product. If you want to go into more sophisticated design styles, then you might be interested in looking at this new product. Now, you don't need to act on any of this yet because we're not launching the product yet, but this is coming. This is an announcement of things that are coming. Anastasia working hard on this, so that's good too. We're moving on to another topic, and this is Taxonomy 2.0. I'm not going to spend too much time on Taxonomy. It's essentially more of an introduction to something that is coming later. Everyone on in this webinar should know about the Taxonomy project. It's a super important project that we started a few years back, and still a super important project. So at the conference back in October with V2V, we announced a second version of the Taxonomy project. You should know all of this. If you don't know what a taxonomy project is, we made a presentation with Capitol Hill Village on October 7th, 2021 at the national conference. You can use the link on this slide to watch that presentation that we did 3 years ago. That's basically presenting what a taxonomy project is and how it works and why would we need to do that. So if you need an intro to the taxonomy project, you can always go back and watch to this video that we did with Capitol Hill Village because we launched this project together a few years back. Now, why do we do this taxonomy project very quickly? Is because, as you know, I've been pushing for the use of data in villages. First, because villages are the most cost-effective aging program there can be, because there's so much work that is being done by the villagers themselves that is just a miracle of efficiency. And if it's a miracle of efficiency, we should prove that beyond just me saying it. And the proof of that comes through the data. If we can print a report saying or showing all the things that villages do for the investment that we put into them, it's just magic, and we should get more funding. So basically, this promotion of data is something that I do at Helpful Village. It's also something that I do with my academic role at USC, where I teach data. We have leaders in aging nationwide, like, for example, Greg Olsen, who's the director of the New York State Office for the Aging, that clearly tell my students that if you have no data, there is no funding from this agency. I mean, from New York agency, but it's general. Like, if you are a smart government agency, you will only want to give funding if an aging program like a village is coming with some data at hand. And that's why we started the taxonomy project. Basically, that taxonomy project is a project to get data that you can provide government so that government provides funding to villages. It's just a reminder. We produce, this is not a project about we would like to have data. It's like the taxonomy project is the most successful data collection project, in my opinion, there has ever been in the village movement. We produced a report with everyone that wanted to participate, all our customers that wanted to participate. In this case, it was 32 villages. And if we added up their numbers, we showed that close to 5,000 members and 3,000 volunteers produced 20,000 service requests. Not only 20,000 service requests were produced, but also they were classified using the Universal Villages Taxonomy that was developed with Capitol Hill Village. And we could now unveil the percentage of services that were completed for each category: transportation, companionship, etc. So we know our numbers. This was a very important project. This is not new. This is something we did 3 years ago. The news that we announced a month ago is that Capitol Hill Village and Helpful Village are now working together again to move forward with the next stage of the Taxonomy 2.0 project. The Taxonomy 1.0 was a success. We knew our total number of members, volunteers, and services. There's an obvious next step, which is knowing what is the social results that we have, how many events are being organized, how many participants, what type of events there were. So it's kind of an obvious next step, but obviously it takes some effort to classify and also do the technical implementation of the project. So building on the knowledge and experience we have gained in the past 3 years, we're providing the movement with a one-click report allowing villages to know their numbers. And because they know their numbers, we can apply for smart government funding with data. Okay, so this is basically news from a month ago. Sorry for the repetition if you were there a month ago, but this is leading us to the next piece of news that is really important, is that you understand that Helpful Village has been working for years into building a data collection initiative that would lead to government funding. And the big news is that we are presenting today the opportunity to receive federal funds, because we were like, okay, we should get this data to receive federal funding. Actually, there are already federal funds from this thing that is called C3, or in its longer name, Community Care Corps. So if you don't know about Community Care Corps, you need to learn about this. So we can help you. We are, Anastasia, if you can post on the chat kind of the website for Community Care Corps, that helps.
Of
And
course.
this is what they do. It's a national program that fosters innovative local models in which volunteers provide non-medical assistance to family caregivers, older adults, or adults with disabilities in order to maintain their independence, which when I read it is like, my God, this program is giving funding to villages. This is my short. In reality, they provide funding to other things that villages do, but villages are at the core of what they want to fund. And this is a program that is funded by ACL, which is the federal agency that supports older adults and aging in place. So you should look into this website. We have been looking at this. They just launched this RFP, so request for proposals. So they just expecting to receive grant applications, and we have been studying this. One thing that I did, I met with their national director because I was really interested in, well, why don't we have more villages that are receiving funding from this? And I believe more villages, all of our villages should be receiving funding from Community Care Corps, and we wanted to distribute today some information about this opportunity for you to consider, and also to let you know what Helpful Village is doing to make it easier for you to receive this funding. But you can go on their website and learn more about this. So let me explain a little bit for this Community Care Corps, or C3 for short. It's a national program fostering innovative local models where volunteers provide non-medical assistance to family caregivers, older adults, and this is the same thing we said in the previous slide, sorry. And about the initiative, it was established in 2019. It's not all that new, but it was expanded in 2024. So basically there is more funding for 5 years that has been given by the administration for community living, which is part of HHS, which is Health and Housing. I don't remember what it is, HHS, but it's good. And then this is just a couple of organizations that are running it: the Oasis Institute, US Aging, Caregiver Action Network, etc. And Alterum. Alterum is quite interesting. It's a data analyst firm, and I actually met with them about and this is where it's interesting, right? Because I was talking about the taxonomy project and all of the data collection work that we have done for our customers. But this is a federal program that is providing funding if you can provide them with some output data, right? And then I was thinking, wait a minute, this output data, like we have been working on it, and we can connect the taxonomy project with this funding opportunity from this federal agency. It's not a federal agency, but it's basically a federal funds for this program. So let's go into more detail. First, what is this grant opportunity about? So it's a grant for 18 months. The grant amounts range from $30,000 to $200,000. So you can choose how much money you want to ask for. And then you need to be careful because basically you need to write a grant application. In this grant application, you cannot say that it's just to basically fund your day-to-day operations the same way you have always been doing them before. So you need to write it in a way where you're showing that you're launching an innovative local model, what is new about what you're doing. You need to be doing something new or expand on a current program that you have or refine it to improve it. So, but it's important that you show that it's just not, you don't want to give money to just do the same thing you were doing before, but you need to do things a little better, which I'm sure you want to. So be careful when you're writing this grant this way. As I was saying, we met with them and we really liked what they're doing. And I think they really liked what we're doing too. So Helpful Village is now mentioned as one of the providers for the Community Care Corps website. If you go on their website, you will find a mention of our platform on communitycarecorps.org, where we have this description that is familiar to you, easy to use volunteer management platform powering the majority of age-friendly villages in America, Canada, etc. So basically, we are in contact with them, and they were kind enough to promote our activities because I guess they also like what we do. There's a few insights we need to give you. First, the timeline. There's a deadline for this grant application is December 11th, 2024. I don't think the grant application is too hard to write because it didn't seem like extremely complicated. But obviously, there is a hard deadline on December 11th. If you're interested in applying for this funding, you probably need to get to work on it right away. You can go to their website. There is this RFP document. It's a PDF document that gives all the details about how the application process works. Today, we're just giving you the key insights. The most important date, December 11th. That's the date when you need to submit your application. There's a few other dates that are significant. March 17th is when they are going to be announcing the recipients of the awards. And then April 1st is basically when the program starts for this 18-month grant cycle. And then if we keep on going, now the tricky part, right? The tricky part, and this program, as I said before, exists in previous years. And the only reason I had found at the time for not applying is this one. Is that the grant requires matching funds. So basically it's like, well, they put federal funding, but they're asking villages to provide some funding themselves. And it's always hard to say, okay, well, we need to find some funding to ask for more funding. But actually, we have great news to share with you, is that these match funds can come in different ways. They can come in cash, monetary contribution, where you make a commitment, say, well, we're going to invest this much money, 10,000 or 20,000 or 30,000 to receive, I don't know, 60 or 80 or 90. But you can also have other match contributions, like in-kind contribution, donated goods, services, or even volunteer time. So if you count the amount of hours, right, obviously with the data we provide and reports that you commit for this grant and say, well, we are calculating, or, we'll have this many volunteers putting these many hours, and we use this hourly rate for that work that the volunteers are doing, but you don't need to pay them, right? You just need to calculate how much effort your volunteers have been doing. That also works as a match contribution. So basically, it's not just hard cash. It can be just work that your village is already doing or is going to do anyways, right? So if that works as a matching fund, well, then the only problem I saw that was finding, this village contribution just goes away. These are longer list. All of the information that we're sharing with you is just a summary of information you find on this RFP document that they published, which is the thing that we thought were super important. One is again, the matching funds. Sources can be this in-kind contribution, the volunteer time, which is volunteer hours times the volunteer hourly rate that applies in your local area. So we can do some math there. Even using the facilities to hold meetings. If you have an office and you will be having meetings for that project, well, then you can also use that as matching funds with no expense. And then you have state government grants, local government grants, foundation grants or money, etc. You can use those as matching funds for your federal C3 grant. So cool. So you just don't need to find, cold hard cash. You can use other funding you already had. There is another one that is interesting here, the 4342 program fees or other earned revenue from the applicant organization's budgets, which what I understand is that you can use your membership dues, right, as matching funds to receive additional federal funding. So for me, it just became, well, then there is it's not that hard to find those matching funds. Obviously, there is a lot of, there's a little bit of paperwork and you need to go through the grant writing process, etc. But this sounded like a great opportunity to me. Now, these are reporting requirements for the same grant, right? Like, well, you need to report to them on some information. Some of that is the budget and spending report. You need to let them know how much are you planning to spend on this project, also how much you have spent. All of that is normal. The evidence of the match report. So basically, you committed to have reporting matching funds. Sometimes in terms of volunteer hours, well, you can pull a report and show how many hours they did, and then just do the math and use that as a matching funds. And then the other thing that I highlighted here in yellow is just the output reports. And then they have a specific thing where you need to report it. But what I thought was interesting here is like, this needs to remind you of the taxonomy project we mentioned before, right? Like Helpful Village has been working super hard to create reports where you have this data collection of the number of basically key performance indicators of your village: number of volunteer hours, number of events organized, number of participants in your event, number of service requests. All of these numbers we're already giving them to you. And not only in the taxonomy report, it also in other reports like the impact report, we are just making these numbers easy for you. And what is interesting is that it was always my belief that having this data was the way to receive federal funds. And this is the confirmation of it. It's just saying there is federal funds. It's coming from the other end. These federal funds are available through this grant, but you need to give them these data output reports, right? And also the budget and the money you receive. But it's like, well, yeah, disconnecting the dots, data collection with you being able to receive this grant. In addition to that, they're asking for these two other things that are really interesting. Also in yellow, they have pre and post surveys at the start and end of the service. I will show you the specific survey they ask. It's a survey that has 5 or 6 questions. So it's not very hard to have. And also, I want to show you, because we want to help you from Helpful Village. Like it's a requirement, right, from the grant that you need to run these surveys. We're going to add this functionality to Helpful Village so that basically you can run these surveys just with one click. You don't need to run a complicated operation for it. There are 2 other comments on this one, is that the grant is for 18 months, right? But the requirement on the grant is that you report your data on 12 months only, not on the 18. This is super interesting to me, because what it means is like they're assuming that these organizations, the grantees, are not sophisticated enough to have data right away, and they're gonna spend 6 months, right, trying to set up some data collection initiative. My belief is that villages are more advanced than any other general aging group, and you will have data for the 18 months. So this showed me that basically they're funding other projects that are not as advanced and as developed in terms of output data. And for that reason, villages are at least the Helpful Village customers are in a better position to be awarded this grant, because you already have this data available, because just such believers in this approach. And then obviously you need to report some of the data, and the details are given on the RFP. Okay, another requirement of the grant is that you need to provide a 100-word executive summary explaining what the program is about, right? And then this is an example of how those 100 words look like. Well, it's not that long. You see, it's kind of half a page. And then this is an example that has nothing to do with a village, but it's a senior service example of that county. Provide a friendly visitor program. Just wanted to let you know that it's not rocket science. You see what I'm saying? I'm sure you can do this 20 times about programs that your village is running that you can easily describe in 100 words. Actually, the thing that is interesting is that this is kind of the general template for all the grant, but we have villages. We know of villages that have already received these grants. And I'm gonna show you 2 examples. This is a village. This village is not a Helpful Village customer, right? It's another village. It's a village common in Rhode Island, but they received a community care core grant for this project. So basically they had this goal, right? We will create and assess 3 unique models, Hispanic, LGBTQ, etc. And these are their 100 words description, right, of what their project does. So this example exists. So if they did it, there is a chance that you can do something similar with a different, or something similar program that your village is intending to do. So this is one example. Have another example. This is a little help, which is not a Helpful Village customer, but this is a village in Denver, Colorado, and they also suggested another program. They also received community care core grant from the previous round, which was 2022 to 2024. What I'm telling you is that there is a new round of funding with $5 million that are granted by the federal government. And those new $5 million are going to these new grant applications that you need to submit before December 11th. And again, this can be done because other villages are receiving this funding. We know of a third village that was a Helpful Village customer, is the village in the Berkshires, also in Massachusetts. So we know at least of 3 villages that receive money through this grant. And now that we know better about this, that we have learned about these matching funds, it's even easier to get these funds. So we really wanted to invite our villages to consider submitting their applications, and they will have our support in doing so. There is an informational video you could potentially watch. This is also on their website, but they produced just an informational webinar on October 22nd. You can use this link or go to their website and find it, and they're explaining how their grant works, what you need to do, etc. But it's just them explaining how this grant opportunity or the request for proposal works. So it's additional information for you to learn more about it. I'm going to skip that one because it's a lot, but I want to spend more time on this one. I met with these people, right? Because I'm really interested how I think they're doing good things with this federal funding, because they are centered around data. This is what we have been advocating for a long time. It's like there should be smart government funding provided to efficient organizations like villages, right, that have a strong economic benefit, because villages do so much, right, with volunteer work and helping each other for so little money. If we knew of the economic benefit of a village, they should be receiving federal funds. So this is actually how they do it at Community Care Corps. I met with them. We were discussing about what their way to do it. And actually, they came up with something super interesting that I'm going to read to you. The Community Care Corps Economic Benefit Tool projects the impact of reducing older care recipients' loneliness and nursing home admission. So basically, they're calculating how a village, I mean, not only a village, but any other grantee, is reducing the social isolation and their chances of going to a nursing home. The results and outputs from the tool can help engage funders. I mean, you can use so basically what is interesting is that they use your output data, right? You get the number of events, the number of service requests, to calculate this benefit tool, but you don't need to calculate it yourself. They are calculating it for you. So basically here, you just asking you to give them the number of events, the number of services, or some other question that they have. They also give you 3 additional questions. This is a survey that we told you that they needed to run, but basically with very limited data, they calculate the financial benefit. This is actually better explained here. This is the actual survey that I mentioned before that was a requirement, right? They need some output data, kind of number of events, service requests, etc. But they also require the villages to run this survey at the beginning of the program, the end of the program, when a member joins, when the member leaves, or or when the grant starts or when the grant ends. So just 2 times for a member, or 3 times, doesn't matter. But also what's incredible here is the limited amount of questions they're asking. It's just these questions. It's not just part of the survey, it's the whole survey is here. So they're asking, how long have you been receiving volunteer assistance from this organization? The member needs to answer, I have not started receiving, less than 6 months, 6 months to 1 year, more than 1 year. They're asking 3 questions from the UCLA loneliness scale. Now, the UCLA loneliness scale is a scientific survey with many more questions about measuring how lonely a person feels. Now, where they're good at Community Care Corps is that they just took 3. So I love how they simplified the process, not asking 25 or 30 questions to a person, just ask 3. How often do you feel that you lack companionship? Hardly ever, some of the time, often. How often do you feel left out? Hardly ever, some of the time, often. How often do you feel isolated from others? Hardly ever, some of the time, often. 3 questions only. The UCLA scale has more questions, but here at C3, they said, well, we are going to just ask these 3. The other question that is on top, what age did you turn on your last birthday, which is, I found an interesting way to ask it. What's your birthday? And then the last question they're asking is, what is your gender? Please choose one of the following: male, female, non-binary, prefer not to say another gender. So that's it. That's the whole survey requirement they had at the beginning and end of the program with those 5-6 questions. In addition to the output data. So it's not It's not a lot. When I met with them, it's like, wow, you have these surveys. And when they were speaking to me, they were saying kind of, wow, we can run these surveys, like people can do it on paper or whatever. And I was thinking, well, I mean, if it's only 5 to 6 questions, I'd be more than happy to include that into Helpful Village and make it accessible to our customers so they can immediately become more community care core ready, for the grant. So that I want always to minimize the amount of work that you could do, right? If you're interested in this grant. And here it's like super simple. I just like the simplicity that they have. Now, the other thing that is crazy, right, is that with these 5 to 6 questions, you report to them, right? And the output data on the number of events and services and stuff like that, they calculate a financial benefit. You see first, there is a link to a tool, etc. You report it to them, and then you give it to their data analyst, and they're calculating a financial benefit. And they give you a number. They don't even show you how the math is done, right? But they have their data analysts saying, well, knowing the number of events and services and knowing the answers to the surveys that we received, we give you this number of a financial benefit of 186, which I'm not 100% sure, but I understand that it is, well, for $1 that the federal government put into it, right? And depending on the efficiency of your village, etc., that $1 is worth $1.86, because what they need to do, right, is go back to the federal government and tell them, okay, hey, if you put a $1 in villages, right, it comes back as a savings of $1.86. And that makes the government happy because, like, oh, if we put money here, that comes at saving almost $2. Well, so yeah, let me put $1 here. And the magic here is that this burden is not on the villages. This burden is on the data analysts that they had at Community Care Core. The burden of the village is minimal, just the output data that you have from events and services, and then just asking your members to respond to this survey that is super simple. And this got me thinking, both on the Helpful Village side, also on the academic side, right? Because about why it's so hard to get data and funding, etc. So let's go over this question. Do villages seeking federal funding have to prove not only the outputs, but the health outcomes? This has been a discussion with V2V for a long time, right? When we finished the taxonomy project, we brought it to the Village to Village network, and they said, wow, this is awesome, we really like it. But if we want to have federal funding, we don't only need to count the number of events and services, we need to count how much money are we saving to CMS or to the healthcare or Medicare or Medicaid or whatever other system. And I think they're wrong. I think the right answer is what the Community Care Core guys are doing. It's like, we don't need to have this complicated calculation of the financial savings that we're doing, because this can be done in a different way. Look at what they did here from Community Care Core. They asked villages to provide output numbers. Again, the data about number of events, participants, etc. They asked for these 2 surveys that have 5 or 6 questions. You send that to them, and they have this Alterum data analyst. Alterum is just the name of the company. I actually met with their guys, right? Because I wanted to see if they were serious or not. And these are actually scientists. I was going to use a different word, but I'm going to say that scientists that have analyzed the research out there, right? And they know that, because we know in research that reducing social isolation has health outcomes and produce savings, right? We know from research that if we have older adults that have purpose in life, that are getting out of the house and helping their neighbors and volunteering, we know that has benefits. There is research that exists already knowing that if we have people that are volunteering, they don't go to a nursing home as much. So we don't need to prove that again. That research exists. So the magic that they did here in Community Care Core is like, they're asking the community-based organizations, basically the village, like, no, give me just your output data, just the events and services you're doing. Give me this survey where you're asking people if they feel lonely or not lonely. You give that, you put that into this black box, they calculate, and they give you a number of the financial benefit. And because they got this financial benefit, they can go back to government and say, hey, you see, it's worth putting money into this, because, if you put $1, the federal government is saving 186. And then the government is happy to provide this funding. So when I saw this, it was just magic. Like, I think in the movement, we have been setting our goals too high about how can we go for Medicare claims or do something super complicated to calculate the dollar amount of savings. Like, these guys are telling us, no, don't do that. As complicated, just produce the output data with the taxonomy project, the impact report that we do, or just the plain Helpful Village reports, and we will do the financial calculations of the financial benefit. So just for me, it's just a highway to additional funding for villages. So I'm really interested and excited about this opportunity, and invite all villages to apply.
Manuel, there is a question from Susan Davis. I don't know if you had a chance.
It's the perfect time because basically that was my last slide about the topic. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So she's asking if you've included the demographic variables in HV.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I mean,
basically-
we're not very satisfied with for instance, the racial categories that are
Yeah.
in there now under more are
Yeah.
not so good. It would be nice to have some of these more standardized ones available that we could fill them out, and that also they'd be included then in tables and, when we're
Absolutely.
making reports. Okay.
Yeah, I like that question, Susan. So the answer is yes, right? Some of these fields like male, female, non-binary, prefer not to say, we have that. If you go to the general tab, right, and you can provide that information, you can also ask to your members through the membership application in other ways. There are other fields about race and ethnicity that we're asking. Susan, I'm with you, right, about having a standard way. It's not that easy because the fields that we have there are coming from the city of San Francisco that was also providing public funding, and city of San Francisco was going a little further in terms of, sexual orientation and things that they wanted to know. So having a standard nationally, we're interested in doing that. It's what I'm just saying, it's not as obvious. It's just, it takes more than 5 minutes, but definitely. So what I'm saying, this is a funding opportunity for this specific C3 opportunity. The only demographic question they're asking is the one you see here: male, female, non-binary, prefer not to say another gender. I promise you, you will be C3 ready. See what I'm saying? So this field will be easy to request on a Helpful Village. You will have a survey you can present to your members, or they can answer all these questions and this. Now, Susan, to your question, right? Would it be, this is for this funding opportunity with C3, we need to do these fields with these values, right? There are other funding
But
opportunities.
I'm thinking about funding opportunities.
Exactly, is where I'm going. It's like, this is not the only funding opportunity, right? There are other grants and funds available from state or local. This is not a state, so sorry, Susan, or local or city government, etc., where we need to report on other demographic fields. So definitely, see what I'm saying? What you need to understand is like, we are getting a lot closer to making it easier for you to apply for these grants. So all these small data points that you need to apply for those grants, we want to make them easy for you. Obviously, this one for C3 is such an obvious funding opportunity that we're doing that first, but we will do the other ones too with, race and ethnicity and things to get those standardized. So 100%. Cool. Do we have any other questions? I'm not reading the chat as usual. So if there was something on the chat, you can unmute and ask your question now. I hope I'm not the only one excited about this because it makes so much sense. But if we're done with this, let's go with the following. If you have any questions about any of this, you can always reach out to us. The easiest thing is to reach out to Anastasia at helpfulvillage.com or support@helpfulvillage.com. If you need more information, if we want to set up a way to, or you have found drawbacks or a reason why not to do it, if you want to participate in this conversation, you can get back to us. We're really excited about this. We're ready to put some work and new Helpful Village features to make this super easy, to be more compatible with this grant application. So if you want to work on this, you can let us know more about those questions or suggestions. But we have discussed about this enough for today, so I'm going to move on to the next topic. If everyone is okay and there are no questions, we can discuss about this at another time. Genius. One thing maybe before I move on from this topic, my favorite thing about them is just the simplicity. I think in what we were doing before, we got entangled sometimes about, oh my God, if we want to do data collection, how about we do something complicated? And then we do this and that, and we add 100 questions we need to ask villages. Like, no, if it's complicated, it never gets done. These guys got it right because they went super simple, asking just 5 questions and super simple output data. And they don't ask you to do any of the financial calculations. So I'm 100% aligned with their approach of saying, make this simple for the villages and community-based organizations so that they can run their operations and not be burdened with all these complex calculations or questions. Simplicity, beautiful. Okay, I don't have no idea what time it is. Okay, we're still on time. And we have 2 more slides about technical things that we wanted to let you know about. I have an easy one and a hard one. So I'm going to start with the easy one, and then we finish with the hard one. last month, we presented a new feature that was the list of event participants can be visible to other members. For example, imagine that you're organizing a village party Friday next week, right? The new feature we added last month is that if you're a member and you're logged into Helpful Village and you go to the event page, you can see who are the other members that are also registered for that event. Because maybe you're thinking, well, I'm going to go to the party if I know Susan is going, right? So now you can log in and you see Susan is registered. She's planning to go. So now I'm thinking, well, I want to go there too because I want to have a chat with Susan. And that's a fun feature that was requested to us by several villages. Is now available. Now, this month, we added another functionality that we deployed urgently to some of the villages. So basically, we made this available to all villages, right? All villages could see other active members registered for events. But then, as you know, all villages are not the same. So we got a few villages that came back to us saying, well, that feature doesn't work for us. We cannot have our members seeing other members registering for those events, etc. So we removed that for them. And we also added a new feature, a new setting, right? If you go to admin settings, I don't know if it's events or members, but there is a checkbox saying this. It's like, do you allow logged in active members to see the list of members registered for an event? And then you choose if you want to have it to yes or no for your village. So basically the possibility to see other members in the event was existing in the previous version. What is changing now is that now there is a setting allowing you to activate or deactivate it. Now, when we deploy the new version, it's possible that you might need to change this setting because the default we set is that we're not showing, right? We're not showing the members because it's always, you know, when setting default settings, I always prefer erring on the side of caution and not showing and protecting the privacy. But if you want to show it, and in this case, I almost like for it. I kind of like it. These other people are active members, right? And they can see other members that are coming to the events, kind of a fun feature, I would say. When we deploy the new version, go in and activate this feature. It looks good to me if that makes sense for your village. Okay, so this one was a quick improvement we did. It's just adding a setting. And then I need to come back to this. This is not a feature, but it's a tech question that came up this week. And this emails bouncing. In particular, Yahoo emails bouncing. So we got tickets from customers saying that some of their volunteers or members or anything were not receiving the Helpful Village emails, not the MailChimp email, but the emails that were being sent from Helpful Village for their daily volunteer emails or something like that. So we were sending those emails, but there's these things about email bouncing. Email bouncing, it means basically undelivered email, right? It's like you have all these email customers, the Yahoo email is one, there's Gmail is another one, there's Outlook is another one, etc. So all of these email providers manage their anti-spam filters. And we knew already, we have discussed this in previous meetings, that the spam filters were becoming more picky, meaning that you need to be a better citizen, providing more proof that you're a legit email if you didn't want to get it kicked out, right? So we knew that was coming, but these rules are just being put into practice more often now. And recently, kind of this last month, Yahoo changed the rules, anti-spam rules, and made some trouble with our emails not being delivered, etc. So this happened. Now, we have changed our settings. So, saying that slowly, we have added new configurations to our domain so that these emails are delivered better. So we fixed the problem. Now, you need to know that once we try to send an email to a recipient, let's say a Yahoo email recipient, right? And Yahoo pushes it back because they say, well, now we don't trust this email provider, is not trustworthy enough. So we're going to bounce that email. And then if an email is bounced in Helpful Village, those people are put into a group that is called HV email bounce, basically. And those, when a person gets into that group, we're not trying to send that email again. Most of the time is because, for example, you have a person and you have a typo in their email address, right? We send an email to that person, it comes back. Well, it's a good bounce, actually, because that email address was wrong. So we're not going to keep sending emails to a wrong email address. So it's correct that it was bounced. And maybe you can contact that person like, did we get your email right? Or you look at your email in there and say, oh, God, I have a typo in there. I didn't write Gmail. I wrote Mgale. You see what I'm saying? Or whatever other typo you can have in there. So basically, there are good reasons to be bounced. But some of them have been recently on this spam filter, new rules and configuration we needed to change. So what we suggest is that because of these new stricter rules on Yahoo and the configuration change we had to do, like we should take everyone out of the HV email bounce list, and we're gonna try sending emails to everyone again, right? And then obviously if you have typos, they're gonna get back into the HV email bounce group again. But all of those that are now working with the new configuration, we made Yahoo happy, those will be receiving emails again. So I'm sorry, it's a little annoying. At the same time, I wanted to say that this is a good thing, right? It's an effort that the internet is doing so that there is fewer spam and fewer scams, etc. And they're asking providers like us to build more trust on the emails that are being sent and that are legit emails. In order to do that, we are working with these 3 technologies. You don't need to know exactly what these 3 technologies are, but just wanted to give you kind of for the more geeky members of this group, the technologies that are implemented to build trust on our emails so that we're out of the spam filter, right? You need to understand that when the internet started, it started in Switzerland. We say that it started in Switzerland, actually. The CERN is kind of this research for atomic energy, and they had a bunch of nerds that connected a few computers, and we say that the internet was invented in Switzerland. In the US, maybe there's a different story, and we say the military played a role. But what's interesting is that the email protocol, right, about sending email to each other, at first emerged in an environment where everyone trusted each other. The scientists at CERN, right, this international research institute, they trusted each other, so they didn't put much security into these emails at the beginning in the email protocol, right? Then the internet grew out of that, right, into the real world where there is a lot more people that are not as nice. And then basically we needed to add a lot of these new technologies to make these emails more secure, right? And these technologies are the 3 that I'm mentioning here in that email: is SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. You don't need to remember any of this. It's just for the more geeky ones of our group. But basically these 3 technologies allow to set up some things on your domain name and also on our domain name when we're sending the emails. One of the technologies called SPF, which is a way for us to say, hey, we always send our emails through the following channels. All our emails from Helpful Village always go out either from Gmail, either from MailChimp, and I forgot to add another one, which is AWS, because it's the one that we send to send our emails out, right? So basically, we're telling the internet on the configuration of our domain name, it's like, hey, if you have any other email provider sending you emails on our name, it's not us, because I am the owner of my domain name, and I know exactly who's sending emails for us. So that's what SPF is doing. I had a small misconfiguration on this SPF, actually for some of our emails, and that's why they were being bounced. That's what I changed, is our SPF configuration. Then there are 2 other technologies. Again, you don't need to remember any of this, just interesting. DKIM is another settings we put on our domain names, is the signature of the email. So this is some encryption, right? When we say signature on the internet, it's not a signature, a handwritten signature, but it's essentially cryptographic technique so that we use some math to encrypt a message and this is proof that basically the identity that we advertise on our domain name is the one that signed the email that you're receiving. So it's just signature. And then the last one is a DMARC protocol that allows the domain owners, in this case, Helpful Village, so that if someone receives an email from our domain name that fails the authentication, meaning that they are not signed properly or they don't get the SPF, what should they do with that email? Should they keep it with a warning message, or they should put it in the trash, etc.? So we just, again, all of this is Helpful Village work, but I just wanted to let you know the things that we have been working on is working with this protocol so that we build trust to Yahoo and Gmail, etc., knowing that our emails, we know who sent them, they are properly signed, and then if someone receives an email from our domain name, that we have a policy about what they should be doing with those emails. Again, all those 3 technologies, you can forget. Every word I said about it doesn't matter. We just made some changes with this protocol so that your emails get delivered properly. The only thing you need to remember is that we're gonna empty your group that is called HV email bounced, so that we are sending emails out to everybody, and then you have people that were not receiving those emails, they will start receiving again, and if they get bounced again because you have typos, they will get back in. But all of those that are now fixed, I mean, that they don't have problems, they will start receiving the emails again. I'm sorry about this slide. I know it's like super hard way to finish the session with a very geeky approach. If you didn't enjoy this conversation, just think that we have been working hard on making sure your emails get delivered to all your members and volunteers. That's maybe the most important message. Anastasia, I don't know if there is that's all the content we had for today's webinar. We'll obviously publish the recording of the webinar. I don't know if there are any questions on the chat that we should handle before we get off, or if we talk about
Yes.
those next week.
We have one more question from Susan.
Okay.
I don't know if Susan would like to ask this question, or I can do it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that the bouncing happened in mid-October, and we did not know until way into November it had happened. And I'm wondering if there's any way, if this happens in the future, that you could notify us, because I was looking everywhere. What is happening? What is happening? And finally, I saw that HV bounce, and there was a big check on one of the people that I knew was having problems.
Yeah.
But that's the only way I would have known. There was no, you know.
I love the question. First, the multiple things there. First, obviously, Yahoo made some changes to the thing. Yahoo is not contacting us, right? So it's not letting us know, hey, helpful, we're going to do some stuff. But
it wasn't just Yahoo either, because I did check that, and there were other email providers that also were doing the same thing.
Totally. And I told you that we had a problem in our configuration, right? So Yahoo was more strict about it than other people, but that configuration was going out for everyone. Now we know how many of those emails are getting bounced. You see what I'm saying? Because we're putting them in the HV bounce group, etc. So until now, we didn't have any problems. So they were only getting bounced
for a good reason.
For a good reason. So basically, if there is a typo, well, then it should be there. So, and what's happening rarely. So your question is that we could have some sort of measure about, well, how many people are we getting? You see what I'm saying? Measuring when people were added to the HV bounce. And then if suddenly we get once a month, one person a month that is getting into that list, probably a typo. If we get 50 in the same month, well, that's probably a configuration issue, something that came out. Yeah.
Well, MailChimp sends us data every week that says how many people have bounced or been bounced or unsubscribed. And you can go right on and you can just look down. It's in date order backwards, and you can see the bounced, and the unsubscribed, and then you can check them out and see what the problem is.
Absolutely.
And I do that every week with MailChimp.
So I like that. So we definitely go in that direction. And I know there is another question, but before we go on to the other question, I need to tell you that your bounce got me dancing. Carol, you had another question.
Yeah, just to clarify. So what you're recommending is that each village go into their groups and look at the HV bounce.
Yeah, great question.
And delete everybody that's
So Carol, it's a great question. I was not clear enough on that one. So first, if you want to do it, go in and do it yourself, you can. At the same time, we don't have all our customers here in this meeting. So I'm just going to go in. I'm going to do it this weekend for everybody. I'm going to empty that list. See what I'm saying? Because why asking everyone to do it individually? I just can't go in, but just wanted you to know that it's going to happen. You see what I'm saying? Everyone's going to be out of the bounce. Some people will start getting back in the bounce for the typos and stuff like that, but it's a normal operation on it. So you can go in and do it immediately, because I cannot do it before this weekend.
Just delete.
Yeah, or maybe there's a button that is remove them all. Maybe I don't know.
You can't remove them all, but it's very quick. You just you just push the delete button.
Anyways, again, so if you want to do it today, you can go in and do it. Otherwise, I'm gonna be doing it for you this weekend. So thank you.
Well, I just want to say, I have been checking that list once a month. I put like a reminder on my Google Calendar to tell me every month, hey, go look at the HV bounce list. So that's just a suggestion.
Yeah, absolutely. But I like what Susan said. Kind of, we can have some sort of a warning, because that's good that you have that reminder, but also we can do something so that, hey, if we kind of, for example, it happened here. We know when we're putting people in this group is unusual number of people that were put in that group. You see what I'm saying? I can also detect that from the database and send you a message like, well, wait a minute, 50 people got, what happened here? So yeah, it's good that you checked on it. But now the funny thing for us is like, well, obviously when everything was working well, see what I'm saying? Then we had no problem, and then we need to wait until the problem happens, and then now we fix it and we do something about it. So that was good. Cool, awesome. So this was a great meeting. Again, as you saw, I'm excited about this C3 grant. I'm sorry to let you know so late, because basically this grant deadline is December 11th. But hopefully the grant application process is not too hard, and we can get those in. And then if you need our assistance or things that we're working on to help you with that grant application, you can contact us too. And we can discuss some more about it next week. We're meeting again next week for the V2V Q&A webinars. If you have any questions, we can discuss at that time. And other than that, there is a question, last one question in the chat, because I was about to cut off because we're past the hour. I don't know what that last question was. Reminder of when we need to select if a member wants to be seen in the event registration list. Yes, okay, Jane Prunty. So basically, there are two things. So a member will show in the events participation list that is visible to other members. First, if they are opted in for the members directory, because if they didn't opt in for the members directory, we're protecting their privacy. And the second thing is, if you go to admin settings events, I think, then you will have in the new version, a new checkbox that says, well, do you want to show all your members list in the event description or not? So anyways, if it's not clear, if you don't find it, you can also open a ticket and send it to support@helpfulvillage.com, and Anastasia will help you find it. So thank you all for your attention. This was a fantastic webinar as usual. And then see you again next week. We'll be in touch. And I have a perfect way to leave our webinar today. We're going to say, let's bounce, bounce, bounce. Thank you, Susan. You gave that to me. Thank you, everybody. Talk to you soon.
Have a beautiful day. Bye.
Bye, Manuel.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.